And what I'd like Dolores to do, D-O-L-E-R-E-S, to do is explain how did you and I get together.
That's an interesting story. In November, I was enrolled in a train-the-trainer course to be a certified hypnosis instructor down in Florida. And before I left, I was looking through one of my books, and it talks about rapport, establishing rapport with anyone, and suggests that perhaps you should see if you can establish rapport with a complete stranger. So I said, well, you know, I'm going to the airport. This would be a perfect place to do this. So lo and behold, I get on the airplane. I have a window seat, and there's a gentleman in the aisle seat. And he's just very interested in reading his book and didn't even glance over at me. And then before you know it, Jim comes in, sits in the middle of the seat. The guy in the end gets up and leaves. So, plane is starting, and Jim goes to me, "Are you a Cookie Monster?" And I thought about that, and I said, "For sure." I said, "By the way, what is a Cookie Monster?" And he began to explain to me that basically what it is being open and receptive to the goodness of the universe. And that sounded good for me because that's what I like to think of myself as being. So as a result, we had this wonderful conversation throughout the entire trip. And the trip was like 20 minutes, and it was really a couple of hours, and we became good friends. And we started talking about the fact that he was a transplant recipient.
She wheeled it out of me, right?
Right. Can you imagine that Jim was having a conversation with her, right? And actually, my husband was on the transplant list, but unfortunately, for a liver, but unfortunately, he died before that happened. So I do understand what there's, not the whole transition, but part of that what you go through when that happens. So inadvertently, that we began talking more and more, and I was invited to come here to talk with your group about my favorite topic, hypnosis, and perhaps we can talk about how that relates to your experience, or maybe how that hypnosis can help you. And one of the other things we're going to talk about is, or what we're going to do, is a massage of the mind. So I bet that everyone could enjoy a time of relaxation. So we're going to do that as well. So
now I'm going to ask you one more question before you get started.
Okay. And
then if you would, after that, introduce us with your background, so why you're talking about it. And that was, when she went down to this event, okay? Hey, good. Our timing is perfect.
Okay.
Ronald, Stephanie, good to see you. Come on the other side. You got to balance the room for us, okay?
Okay.
Yep. Sorry about that. And would you like a candy to go by? Sorry about that. There you go. There you go.
Thank you.
And so she was going down to a seminar, and we made a point of getting together afterwards to find out what our two experiences were that week. And she told me a strange story.
While I was doing training, our instructor said he was going to give us an opportunity to do something outside of our comfort zone. So what it was is that what I did is I flew on a flying trapeze 25 feet in the air. Something I never did at all in my entire life, and it certainly was going outside my comfort zone. But I want to tell you, it was so exciting. And the reason I did it was because, I think, I'm never going to have this opportunity again. I mean, and how many people get a chance to fly on a flying trapeze? So I decided I would go for it. And it was such I have a picture. I didn't think to bring it, but someone took a picture of me the moment I stepped off into the air. And my mouth is like this wide. But it was the coolest thing. It was such a wonderful metaphor for like the new year, or just, to letting go and trusting and just taking a chance and moving forward. So I just thought that was just a fabulous way to end my training. So I'm glad that you remind me of that, so I can share that with everyone, because, so I encourage everyone to do something a little bit different. Now that we're in January and, in a new year, that it's a wonderful opportunity where we think about doing new things and making changes, that you take the chance of doing something outside of your comfort zone, and you'll be glad that you did.
Actually, everybody here did that, didn't we?
Yes, you did.
Including Stephanie and Ronald. Why don't you introduce yourself? We did a self-introduction just before. I'm sorry, Stephanie, I waited till you put it in your mouth. Sorry, always happens.
Then Ronald Griffin, I'm a heart recipient, March 2707.
Okay.
That's
Well,
not
yeah.
a comfort jump.
And this is his wife, Stephanie.
I'm his wife, Stephanie. He's the president of the Robert Johnson chapter. I'm the secretary.
Well, remember those two names, because Ronald is my brother's name, and Stephanie is my mother's name. Yes, yes, two very nice names, yes.
So now if you would back up just a minute and tell us how you got into this and what your credentials are for this.
Sure, okay. I had a master's degree in counseling from Villanova, long ago and far away, and was a juvenile probation officer, actually, for a while, and left social services and went into the business arena, and actually was doing training, and I had a training company of my own. And anyway, I was looking to do something else, and I did not want to do traditional kind of therapy, cognitive therapy kind of stuff. I wanted to do something where I thought that there would be a quicker response time where people would find answers to the questions and faster. And actually I went to look more at behavior modification as well rather than kind of cognitive therapy kind of stuff. So that's how I got into hypnosis. And actually part of that happened also when my husband became ill and we started this journey of looking at alternative kind of therapies and just exploring different kinds of ways of looking at things. So hypnosis was something that was of interest to me, so that's how I got into the business. I have a practice in Skippack, Pennsylvania, Montgomery County, and I also practice in Warminster. So I like to say that I help people create positive change. And so I'm going to talk about my favorite topic. One of my favorite topics is hypnosis. And first of all, I'm going to ask, has anyone here ever been hypnotized? Okay. Well, okay, great. Do you want to share it or not?
Oh, yeah, I don't mind sharing.
Okay.
I've been hypnotized twice, once successfully and once not successfully.
Okay.
I'll start with the one that wasn't successful. It was a large group, like an auditorium.
Oh, sure.
That was a long time ago. I'm thinking it was the Marriott on City Line.
Yeah.
So it's long gone.
I bet I know who that is too.
And it was for smoking cessation.
Okay.
And basically, I stopped and bought a pack of cigarettes on my way home.
Okay. So I would consider that not successful.
Yeah, so that
And
was
you had
not
it again?
successful. I had it previously to that.
Mhm.
I was visiting a friend out of town who was having a holiday party. And I didn't know anybody other than my one friend, and I don't remember the circumstances. I think it was just somebody at the party with a hypnotist. And being the stranger, I volunteered and I was hypnotized, and I went under with no problem. And they say when you're hypnotized, you won't do something that you wouldn't normally do.
Correct.
And he asked me to do things around the room, like pick up a piece of paper and put it in a trash can, something like that. I mean, I'm going back 30-some years. And I remember doing that. I kind of remember him saying, there's a parade going by and somebody's money is flying loose. Go run after the money, and I wouldn't do it. And I think that's my nature, too.
Okay.
So, there, he told me to do things that were simple, and I did, and he asked me to do things that are against my nature, and I didn't do it.
Okay.
And then he took me out, and that was it.
Okay, great. Well, many people, when they think about hypnosis, they think about movies and county fairs. Perhaps you saw the movie, classic movie Bengali, where the evil, sinister hypnotist hypnotizes the sweet, innocent, and beautiful young lady. Or maybe you saw a Vincent Price movie where he took someone under his spell. And sooner or later, they take out the watch or the shiny object and they say those famous words. Right? You are getting very sleepy. Okay? Or perhaps you went to a county fair or a state fair. Has anyone gone to the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair?
Yeah.
Well, they have a hypnotist there. If you ever go there and see that show, it's a lot of fun to see that. However, I'm going to tell you that hypnosis is neither strange nor mysterious. In fact, it's something that you do often, and you don't even think about it because it's a natural part of your being. And let me give you an example. Have you ever left work, or maybe a friend's house, or your mother or a relative's house, And you're starting your way home, you get into your car, turn the engine, and you start thinking about maybe what just happened. Or maybe you start thinking about what you're going to do that weekend. Or maybe a vacation, or whatever. You start thinking about that, and then you get home, and you say, I remember driving here. Does that ever happen to anybody? Yeah, okay. It happens to most of us. You were in a trance. So let me explain. Everything we learn is stored in our subconscious mind. So when you take that same route back and forth, it gets stored in your subconscious mind. So anytime you do anything repetitive like that, your conscious mind can be diverted, and it would be done automatically without thinking. So for me, it's when I mow the lawn. I do that. Some people find it when they're jogging, or when they're knitting, or they're taking a shower, anything like that. So, hypnosis is not something strange and mysterious. It's something that we can associate with a lot. So, I want to talk to you about what the definition of hypnosis is. And that is, hypnosis is relaxation and focus. Where we bypass the conscious mind and we access the subconscious mind where we can make positive change. So if you want to do that little...
Could you repeat that, Dolores? Dolores?
Yeah.
Could you repeat that?
Sure. I think I have it coming up here, too. So,
We've got the problem we had before. It's off the screen, and it won't respond to the arrows either.
So maybe it's off the screen?
It's off the screen. Anybody use a Mac system?
I do.
Huh?
You do?
Stephanie, come take a quick look for us. She's got a PowerPoint, slide presentation, which is off to the right, which is what you're seeing here, but you can't see it here. Can you get it so that we can advance the slide, is what we're trying to do. It's over here.
So would you like me to continue?
Yeah, go ahead while we...
Okay. So, hypnosis is relaxation and focus, where you bypass the critical conscious mind and access the subconscious mind to create positive change. So
Is that the keynote? Is
Yeah,
the keynote? It's
yeah.
keynote.
If you look on the screen, it says most. MOST, that's it. That's the file, the folder. So I want to talk to you about the conscious mind and subconscious mind. So we'll talk about the conscious mind first. So the conscious mind is our awareness. Okay? So it's the five senses. So we see, hear, accept, reject, analyze, criticize. All those elements is what we talk about with our conscious mind. But it's a very limited attention span, and it only can take 7 to 9 bits of information. Okay? Now the subconscious mind is basically almost unlimited as far as the amount of information it can take in. And for example, your automatic system is part of your subconscious mind. So you don't have to think about your heart and where the blood has to go from one place to the next, and how it goes from one valve to the next, or to the arteries, to the veins, to the capillaries. It's done automatically for you. The other thing that the subconscious mind does is accepts without judgment. So for instance, if you were a person who smoked cigarettes, and every time you had a cup of coffee, you had a cigarette, okay? Does anybody know how long it takes to establish a habit?
3 weeks.
21 days, exactly right. So if you start doing coffee, cigarette, your subconscious mind doesn't say, no, you're not supposed to do that. Remember all those pictures of the lungs that you see with all those tumors on it and things like that? You don't want that to happen. It just accepts, good or bad, whatever habit that you establish. It's like your hard drive. It just runs that program automatically. It's also where your habits, beliefs, and actions are stored. So what we do in hypnosis, we bypass the conscious mind to access the subconscious mind where those things are stored. Your conscious mind is where willpower is. So if to give you an example of the difference between the conscious and the subconscious mind, I'm going to give you something that happened in news not too long ago. Do you remember at that press conference when President Bush, someone threw shoes at him? Okay. So your subconscious mind is where your instinct was. So when somebody threw that at him, he stopped, right? He didn't think about it, right? That was his survival instinct coming over. So his conscious mind would say, oh, look at that coming over to me. I wonder what that is. You know, all that kind of stuff. But his subconscious mind, his instinct, his reactions go over and he, you know, moves without thinking. So that's another difference. That's an example. You can see the difference between the conscious and the subconscious mind. Okay. So what I want to do is talk on, that's my front yard, isn't that nice? I trained the deer to come out to the tree while I was there, to hypnotize them, that's what I did. So what I want to do now is talk about some of the myths and misconceptions about hypnosis. And one of them is, who can be hypnotized? So how many in this room think that they can be hypnotized? Raise your hand. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. I wonder if anybody would change their mind if I said to you that it's known that anyone with average intelligence or above can be hypnotized if they want to be. Because all hypnosis, most experts agree, is really self-hypnosis. The hypnotist is just a facilitator, the guide to help a person go into hypnosis, to get into that relaxation and into that focused state. It's not the hypnotist who does it, it's the person himself who brings himself into that state. Now, people used to think that hypnosis wasn't real. It was hocus pocus, or people were pretending. But we now have, you know, brainwave scans and PET scans, so we can actually look at the brain and see what's going on when someone is in hypnosis. And the interesting thing is that the brain of a person who is in hypnosis, the brain waves are the same as a person who is alert and awake. It's not the brain waves of a person who is asleep. So hypnosis is definitely not sleep. Okay? The other thing is, a question is, what will I experience when you're in hypnosis? Do you know that feeling it is right before you go to sleep, when you're relaxed? You can hear everything else that's going around you. Everybody know what I'm talking about? So that's what it's like when you're in hypnosis. Some people, if they're really tired, they may go to sleep. And some people go in and out, they may hear, they may not hear, but for most cases, you can just hear everything that's going on. The other concern, the big concern that people have is that, are you going to make me do something? Because they see all these movies where the hypnotist takes control over a person. So will you make me do something against my will? So if I said to you in hypnosis, and as you continue to relax, you are a generous person. That's right. You enjoy giving. Just reach into your wallet and take all your paper money out and just put it right on the table in front of you. That's right. You are a very generous person. You would probably do one of two things. You would probably come out of hypnosis and say some very nasty things to me and leave, okay? Or you would say, you know, I think the rest of what she said, I'm just going to ignore that. So you always have free choice, whether you're in hypnosis or not. So you are free to accept or reject any suggestion that is given to you. Okay? So you always have that power. The other question is what happens, because they've seen this in the movies as well, can I get stuck in hypnosis? Because people think that, you know, they may be walking around like zombies or, you know, something of that nature, because we have this thing in the movies that perpetuates this kind of stuff.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What happens if you are a generous person?
Well, the point I'm making is that if you wanted
Yeah, exactly.
If you wanted to give me that money, you probably would do. Maybe you would do that. I don't know. But if you felt that, you know, it would be a choice. In other words, what I'm saying, it wouldn't be that I'm not forcing you to do that. Okay? I'm not making you do that. Okay. Yeah. So being the ethical person I was, I would just leave it there, and after we got out, I'd say, oh, by the way, don't forget this is your money. Okay. So, just to get back to, so did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Anybody else have any questions? So, getting back to people, the concern that people feel that they may get stuck in hypnosis, is that, let's say, in hypnosis, the hypnotist is usually talking. Depending upon what is going on, maybe like 95% of the time, and depending on what kind of session it is. So what would happen, say if I was in session with someone and I just left the room. What would happen is that person who is used to hearing my voice would no longer hear that and would probably come up to awareness. Or if that person was tired, if they just come to see me after a long day at work, maybe they would just fall asleep and then just wake up when they're refreshed. So that's basically. Does anybody else have any questions about? Yes.
Is it like guided imagery?
Yes.
Is that another form of it?
It is. Yes. It's like another step of guided imagery because it is a little bit more focused. So it's pretty much the same.
Can you explain that? What guided image is this?
Yes. In fact, we're going to do that in a bit. So what guided imagery is that I would, for instance, suggest to you being in a peace, calm place. Maybe if we said that like the beach, so I'd say imagine the sun shining down on you and feeling the warmth of the sun's rays against your skin. Maybe there's a slight breeze in the air, maybe you feel that. As you look up from the sky, it's blue. Maybe you see a puffy white cloud just gliding on by. Perhaps you see a bird and hear the bird. So things like that. So I'm suggesting images to you.
And your voice is changing as you're doing it.
Okay? All right. So what I want to talk to you about some of the uses of hypnosis. What most people think about hypnosis, one of the major things is to stop smoking. That's right.
I didn't want to stop.
The most important thing with hypnosis, there's two very important components for hypnosis to be successful. One of them is that you have to want to change. We say you have to want it, wish it, and allow it. And the second thing is repetition or reinforcement. Now, because of that, I always give my clients a CD after a session so that they can practice what happens. So, for instance, with smoking, 20–25% of the people, they walk out of the session, it's like they've never smoked. Okay. Another 20–25% of people, I want a cigarette. No, I don't want a cigarette. Another 20% of people, they really struggle. I want a cigarette, really want a cigarette. It tastes so good with that cup of coffee. I just had a drink, I really want a cigarette. And then for some of the people, it doesn't work for. It's just like any other modality, whether it's the patch, the ear clip, or Sandtech, or hypnosis. There's different methods of getting to the same goal. And if something didn't happen one time you tried it, it may happen at another time. It all depends. Okay. So just because you tried hypnosis once doesn't mean it won't happen.
We've got it if you want it.
Oh, okay.
Where would you like to be?
You know where I'm at is, wow, it uses 10.
10.
10, I'm down at 10.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, but you know what happens? You have my cheat sheet here.
That's all right.
Oh, that's your cheat sheet?
Nobody reads the cheat sheet.
Nobody reads the cheat sheet.
She needs to know that.
Go ahead, some bad words. No, I'm kidding. If you just do navigate, the first thing that would take that out of it. Oh, well, that's...
So would you wear navigate?
You can put it down where it says view. See over the third thing where it says view.
No, down.
No, it was, okay, try that. Yeah, try that.
Either top.
Or, no, don't do that one. Don't do that one. Don't do that one.
Which one?
Don't do that one that's on top, because that's going to...
No, I think she means that down, right above the subconscious, right above that.
Yeah, that one right there, yeah. Do high presenter notes. Down further, right there, okay, there. There we go, okay.
No, she can't cheat.
Now you can't see where 10 is, so we're going to go down, but keep on plugging so we get down.
Keep on down.
So we get to use this there.
Up and down.
You got that up and down?
Oh, here we go. This one?
No. That's going to play, that's going to make it go automatically, and you're going to be able to stop one slide from the next. Well, you can just put it back where the...
Navigator? Navigator gives you
But
like 10.
navigate, that's okay, my notes will be there, that's all right. You'll just get to see my notes.
No, they won't be there.
So you're down to 10.
Okay.
Okay, oh, okay. So the important thing about stopping smoking or stopping any habit is what is your motivation to stop smoking, let's say. So if it was your husband, wife, father, mother, significant other, and they said to you, I'm not going to talk to you anymore, or I'm not cooking dinner anymore, I'm not taking you out to the movies anymore, unless you go to that hypnotist to stop smoking. It's not going to work, because that person does not want to stop smoking. They're just doing it to satisfy you. So when people come to me and they say they want to buy a gift certificate for someone to stop smoking, although I really could use the money, I tell them I'd really rather not do that, because that person really isn't motivated. So they may not be motivated to quit smoking, because they have to really want to be able to do that. Here's a couple of people, Ben Ash, I was Matt Damon was on Oprah with Dr. Oz a couple of months ago, and they were talking about hypnosis, and that's how they stopped smoking, along with Ellen DeGeneres and a couple other people. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Weight management. So do you think it's easier to quit smoking using hypnosis? It's easier to quit smoking or to lose weight?
Quit smoking.
Quit smoking. Well, you know why? Because if you smoke, you don't smoke, right? You got to eat, right? So it's the choices that you make when we talk about doing weight loss. Okay. I don't know if you saw it a couple of years ago, Dateline had the Ultimate Weight Loss Challenge. They had someone who was on Weight Watchers, Atkins, a personal trainer, a personal coach, and someone that was on hypnosis. The person who did the hypnosis was Tom Nicoli that I trained under. So they watched these people for, I guess it was 9 months, until they finally did a show. The last show was after graduation. Well, it ended up that everybody lost weight. So the guy that did the hypnosis, he had an extra challenge because he was a chef. And he had lost, I guess it was like 40 pounds. I think the person who lost the most was like about 50. And it was very interesting because his wife was so impressed with his success, and she was a stop smoker, and they showed a scene of he was listening to his weight loss tape, and she was listening to her stop smoking tape, so it was successful.
What happened after the 9 months?
It didn't show that yet. They should show it a year, because one of the things that people did say, it was a lot easier because there were cameras following these people around all the time. Right? So, yeah, okay. Let's go to the next one.
She stopped eating and she stopped smoking and ate like a horse.
Well, actually, you know, what you do is...
So wait and start smoking.
What you do is you give suggestions that even though you're going to stop smoking, you're going to maintain a healthy, lean body. You can do those kinds of things as well. They're different. Okay, stress management. Harvard Business Review, and you can probably certainly relate to that, and a lot of people can right now. Harvard Business Review reports that 60 to 90% of doctors' visits are due to stress. University of London did a study, a 20-year study, and they said unmanaged stress was more important in heart disease than smoking or eating high cholesterol foods. So that was very interesting. Okay, and there were two. We're going to look at two studies. One is the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health Studies. Take the next slide. Oh, here we go. Okay. And this is reported, this is a couple years ago. So you can imagine that in this kind of environment that these numbers are probably up. So 40% of people said they had very stressful jobs. Their jobs in their life was the number one stressors. 26% they were burned out, and was associated their jobs with health complaints. Let's look at the Gallup study, because this is very interesting. There we go. 65% said they had work stress. 42% suffered verbal abuse. 24% yelled at their coworkers. Anybody work in an environment like this? 2% struck somebody. Okay? And these are the people that admitted doing these things. Okay? And 19% quit. Okay? And we talked about, remember we talked about the doctor's visits associated with stress. Okay? 62% had neck pain, 34% difficulty sleeping, 12% cold and sick. We call that a mental adjustment day, right? Okay. And 50% skipped lunch because of their workload, because they were so stressed. Okay. Now, forensics. Now we have all these shows like, anybody watch the NCIS or CSI and all those kinds of shows, okay? Now, anybody see that show, Lie to Me? It just started last night. Okay, did you see it? Oh, excellent. And it talks about, there's this school, it's called NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, and it talks about eye-accessing clues and body movements and things like that, and he uses that to tell people are lying and things of that nature. So anyway, forensics, hypnosis is used in forensics. I don't know if you remember, this is a while ago, this is a famous case that you may remember, that a school bus of children were kidnapped. Does anybody remember that out in California? How they found the perpetrators is they hypnotized the school bus driver. And he remembered the license plate then, and that's how they found him.
How does that work? If your conscious doesn't remember something, or if your conscious doesn't see something, basically.
Obviously, it did see it.
But your conscious doesn't see it.
Remember, we said everything is stored in your subconscious mind, so it was the point of bringing that back up to the conscious mind. So that's how that happens. In Montgomery County, the man who is the chief of detectives is a forensic hypnotist, which I think is pretty cool because right here in Montgomery County, we have someone who practices hypnosis in law enforcement. Now, it's much more stringent. Everything has to be filmed. You can't be leading someone. You have to open-ended questions. But I thought it was very interesting that we have someone in Montgomery County that does do that.
He's using it how? Like you just described, it bring back something that the person could recall, or for a perpetrator to confess?
No, he's using with witnesses.
Okay.
Witnesses, is that good?
And is that witness testimony then admissible if it's been filmed and he hasn't been leading?
In some states, it varies from state to state.
Okay.
So they are doing it here in Montgomery County, I can tell you that. Preparation for surgery, which certainly everybody here can relate to, right? Studies have shown that people have hypnosis before surgery recover faster, there's less bleeding, and they're out of the hospital faster. Because remember, I said your automatic system is controlled by your subconscious mind. Okay? Blue Shield of Southern California recommends all of its members to get a CD on hypnosis before they have surgery, because they have found out that the people are in the hospital a lot less and they're recovering faster. So it's a win-win for the insurance company as well as for the patient.
What's the suggestion being made? Don't be stressed, or
no, it's about how your body responds. Your bleeding is kept at a minimum. Your heart rate, whatever it is, you have confidence in your doctor. You've chosen the right doctor. Your body responds as it needs to. Things of that kind of that nature. Okay. Yeah.
Well, California's a little bit wild anyway.
But what they say is what happens in California comes to the rest of us.
Well, when you say recommended, you mean paid.
I do not know if it's paid. Well, you know what? Not many insurance companies do accept hypnosis.
I know that.
But remember, they also did not accept chiropractic either. Remember, chiropractors used to be sent to jail when they first came out. And when I grew up, I was told that chiropractors weren't real doctors. Does anybody remember that? Okay, who has a chiropractor in this room? Oh, well, so much for that. But most of the people, would you agree that a lot of people now go to chiropractors? Okay? And now insurance pays for chiropractors.
I've got a question.
Yes.
You say they recommend hypnosis before surgery.
Correct.
Well, in our case, how soon do they start hypnosis before they are going to surgery? In other words, I know I'm going to go in for whatever,
Right.
2 weeks from now.
Right, so they would do it then.
Yeah, but what about in our case, where you never know when you're going to get the phone call, what do you do?
Well, you know what? I would listen to that once a week. I mean, it's worth $20 to have your subconscious mind start being trained for when that happens, right? Because what we're talking about is relaying this to your conscious, how you're going to be relaxed, how you're not, when you go into the operating room.
Right.
The stress, first of all, it's a very stressful situation, right?
Naturally. So in other words, if you're in the hospital for 4 or 5 months, you could possibly be listening to this every day for 4 or 5 months.
I'm sorry, could you? Yeah, sure you could.
Once you train yourself, you can self-hypnosis.
Right.
So it's a training
I was going to
process.
ask that question.
So the next thing,
the
the thing to do would be to learn self-hypnosis. If
Well,
there's somebody that's
I was
like
going to
you.
ask that question.
Yeah.
But I was going to let you get to it.
Yeah, so that would be the goal, really,
Right.
is to do that. And I would use that, the tape, intermittently, though, as well, because they may be specific suggestions related to surgery.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
Yes.
Whereas, you can do that yourself, but I would augment that with the one that you got. All right. Okay, so next one. So we got the surgery done, right? Okay. Pain management. Okay. National Institute of Health recommends hypnosis for pain management and insomnia, actually. Not too long ago, I was listening to a show on NPR, and they had a national pain expert that they were interviewing, and they were talking about all the new Oxycontin drugs and what they're doing, and all the wonderful things that they're doing. And I went, I never call up on shows, and I decided, what the heck, I'm calling up. And I said, NIH recommends hypnosis for pain management. What do you think? He gave a 2-minute commercial on hypnosis. And he said something that a lot of hypnotists say, and that is, there are no side effects. Now, the interesting thing that we know about pain from research, which remember I said they are doing PET scans now, that in pain they found out that there's 2 sensations that's associated with pain, and this works, it's activated in the cortex. One part of the cortex registers the sensation. The other part of the cortex interprets the sensation. What happens in hypnosis is that it does not work on the sensation itself, but it works on the interpretation of the sensation. It's just like, do you ever hear about football players, for instance, and they're in a game and they break their ankle. And they play the whole game and they don't feel a thing. And then after it's over, all of a sudden they go, oh, I hurt, right? They didn't feel it at all then. Something, so what is all that about? What's it about when a little kid comes up to you, like if you're a parent or grandparent, and they just fell and hurt their knee? Oh, that mommy kiss it, make the boo-boo go away. And you kiss it, and the kid's fine. Gee, what's that about, right? You gave them that suggestion. They were in a very heightened state of awareness. They were focused on it. You gave them that suggestion, and it took the pain away.
Is there an age limit? In other words, let's say, for example, you've got a woman who's 89 years old that's been in severe pain for a long, long time. Can hypnosis possibly help a person that old?
You know what?
It doesn't matter, or it doesn't matter.
It all depends on the individual, how receptive they are.
Well, to get rid of pain, this person...
It's very motivated. A person who is in pain is really motivated.
Yes.
Yes. So, but it would still be up to that person. So there's lots of things that you can do with pain. And if someone's working with pain, for instance, I would, and I'm sure anyone else would get the doctor's recommendation first, because pain is a signal, okay? And be very careful with pain, because, if someone's, for instance, we're looking at a scale of 1 to 100 on pain, and someone's at a 85, and if you can bring them down to a 60, are you going to change the quality of their life?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And maybe you could even get it down further. I don't know, but what I'm saying is that when pain is involved, I always get an okay from the physician to see that it's okay. And the other thing is that hypnosis is not a substitute for medical care, but it is a complement to medical care. Okay.
On that same subject, if I may.
Sure.
Pain people that don't have pain,
Yes.
they can hurt themselves really bad because it is a signal.
Right.
And yet I can still remember my brother-in-law had a surgery of some type after he had a car accident. He was constant pain, and I said to him one time, after the accident he had problems. He went and had some surgery. I said, so how did that relieve the pain? He says, no, now I can feel the pain. And he was thrilled that he had sensation back.
Isn't that interesting?
So it's not just eliminate pain, but manage it to a level where it's not affecting your lifestyle, but you don't want to eliminate it.
The case in point is my mother-in-law. She's 89 years old. She's been to every orthopedic specialist in the city of Philadelphia, all over the place, and taken every possible test you can think of. She's 89 years old. She's on the cusp of, she can't be operated on because of her age, but they can't figure out what's causing this pain.
Right.
And now they're talking about transcutaneous nerve stimulation to get rid of the pain. But that's just...
It's something you might want to explore.
Yeah, we're
because
going to
a lot of
talk to
times,
you afterwards.
a lot of times hypnosis is a last resort.
Yeah.
People have tried, the medical
Yeah.
avenue, and they tried going to various doctors, and they couldn't figure it out.
Right.
And then they finally come to hear about hypnosis can help them, and they try that.
Okay.
So that is an avenue.
Thank you.
Which, you're quite welcome. And which brings me to IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Is anybody familiar with it? Is everyone familiar with that? Yeah? Okay, all right. So, that was something, like fibromyalgia, where people said it's all in your head. It's not real. But now we know that it is real. And the interesting thing about IBS is that there's 20 years of clinical research, not anecdotal research, but clinical research that shows that hypnosis reduces symptoms between 70 and 80%. And there's no side effects, and nobody knows that. So that's one of my goals, because I focus on IBS. And people, it really affects the quality of life. Some people have their large intestines removed. They're so incapacitated with IBS, their quality of life is really detrimentally resulting from the suffering that they're having. So it's something that can be relieved.
In that case, what is the hypnosis doing to the body relative to whatever causes IBS?
Okay. Big part of what it's doing, remember we said your automatic system, which includes your digestive system, is run by your subconscious mind. So with most of these people, at one point they did have a normal functioning digestive system. So part of it, like with the diarrhea, is that the food goes through their system too fast. Well, they have studies where they show within hypnosis you can reduce the time that the food stays in the gastrointestinal system. So what we do in hypnosis is retrain the person's digestive system. It's fascinating. Do you have a question?
No, I'm sorry. Vice President's going on way too much.
Okay, it's a good thing to say hello to him. A person who I work with, I usually do 6 sessions, and her discomfort level, because we relabel things, because the pain has a different connotation as if we said discomfort, right? Her discomfort level was at a 5, and she listened to her CD and went down to a 0. That was pretty cool, huh? Yeah. So, and she was very, very motivated, okay, because, she had this discomfort, and it was, a person who has IBS, if they go somewhere, they have to know where the bathroom is wherever they go, because they don't know, that thing where you're going and it's like that. So anyway, that's where it happened. Sports enhancement. 2008 Super Bowl champions were, was it the Giants? Giants? Okay. They were the underdogs, right? Before the Super Bowl, they were all hypnotized. Yeah.
Really?
See that? I was going to call Andy Reid if they won last week, but they didn't win. I should have called them before, right? Okay, but just a thing that imagination versus hypnosis. Okay, and this is during sports, but you can take it to anything, really. They were just doing basketball. What do you call it, from the middle, the goal line, not the goal line. Foul line, thank you. From the foul line and practicing foul shots, okay? 3 groups. One group actually practiced doing the foul shots. The second group imagined doing the fail shot. The third group imagined the fail shot while they're in hypnosis. And then they had them go out and use them. Guess which group did better? The ones who did it in hypnosis. Even better than the ones that actually did it. Because when you're doing it in your imagination, you're